In early January 2025, Los Angeles faced another dry winter. The city, already accustomed to drought, watched as rainfall totals fell far below average. The air was crisp, the skies clear, but the land was thirsty. Every blade of grass and every leaf brittle with the memory of seasons past. The hills of the Pacific Palisades, beautiful but parched, were primed for disaster. The golden slopes, so often admired for their beauty, had become a tinderbox. Residents knew the risk, but the landscape offered little comfort, just the uneasy knowledge that one spark could change everything. On New Year's Day, a brush fire ignited near Lockman Lane, quickly named the Lockman Fire. It started small, a flicker in the undergrowth, but the wind fanned the flames, and within minutes, the fire leapt from bush to bush, racing toward homes perched on the hillside. LAFD crews responded with practiced efficiency, racing up winding roads and launching helicopter water drops. Sirens echoed through the canyons as firefighters coordinated from the ground and air, determined to stop the fire before it could reach the neighborhoods below. Firefighters dug containment lines and attacked the blaze from all sides. They worked in teams, shoveling earth, cutting brush, and braving the heat and smoke. Every minute mattered, and every action was a race against the advancing flames. By evening, officials declared the fire contained. Residents breathed a sigh of relief, grateful for the quick response. For many, it felt like a narrow escape, a disaster averted by the courage and skill of the fire crews. The burn scar, a black patch on the hillside, stood as a reminder of what could have been. The earth was scorched, the vegetation gone, and the smell of smoke lingered in the air. It was a stark warning, visible from miles away. Fire crews stayed behind, for mop-up, dousing hot spots, and checking for hidden embers. Their work was far from over, as even a single spark could reignite the blaze. They walked the perimeter, feeling for heat, turning over logs, and spraying water on anything warm. The process was painstaking, requiring patience and vigilance long after the flames had died down. The night passed quietly, the containment lines held. The city slept, unaware of the silent battle still being fought on the hillsides. News reports were brief, a small fire, quickly handled. The headlines faded, and attention shifted elsewhere. For most, it was just another close call in a city used to wildfire threats. But beneath the surface, danger lingered. The ground still smoldered in places, and the roots of trees and shrubs hid embers that could burn for days. The fire wasn't truly out, it was only waiting. Underground, heat simmered, invisible to the eye, but deadly all the same. Firefighters knew that in these canyons, a fire could smolder unseen, ready to return. They warned of the risks, but the threat was easy to forget once the flames were gone. The city moved on, unaware that the real threat was still buried in the blackened soil. People returned to their routines, grateful for normalcy, but the danger had not passed. The emergency seemed over, but the story was far from finished. The hills looked calm, but beneath the surface, the fire's memory lingered. The hills, scarred but silent, hid a persistent enemy. The landscape bore the marks of battle, but the war was not yet won. The Lockman Fire was not yet history. Its legacy was written in ash and fear, a warning to all who lived nearby. It was a warning, unheeded. The signs were there: dry brush, high winds, and a city always on the edge of the next disaster. And it would soon return, with devastating force. The lesson of the Lockman Fire was clear. In Los Angeles, fire is never truly gone. It only waits for its next chance to burn. On January 2nd, the day after containment, LAFD Station 69 crews continued mop-up, convinced the fire wasn't fully out. A battalion chief arrived, assessed the scene, and ordered the crews to withdraw, against their strong objections. Standard protocol called for a fire watch, especially in high-risk terrain like the Palisades. The firefighters protested, citing smoldering hotspots and the risk of flare-ups, but orders were orders. Reluctantly, they packed up and left, uneasy about abandoning the burn scar. Their frustration was clear in later text messages. They felt forced to leave an unfinished job. One firefighter told the chief directly it was a mistake to go, but the decision stood. The hillside was left silent, but the danger remained. The Station 69 crew's warnings weren't just based on gut feelings, they were grounded in hard physical evidence and years of experience on the front lines. These firefighters had seen the aftermath of wildfires before, and they knew the subtle signs that danger still lingered. They'd found tree stumps still hot to the touch, classic signs of fire smoldering underground. The heat radiating from the blackened wood was unmistakable, a warning that the fire's threat was far from over. Beneath the surface, roots can carry embers invisibly through the soil, far from the original flames. These hidden embers can travel undetected, reigniting fires days or even weeks later, especially in dry, rugged terrain like this. The firefighters reported these hot spots to their superiors, urging more time and water to fully extinguish them. They stressed the need for caution, knowing that a single missed ember could spark disaster. Their concerns were explicit: the fire was not dead. They spoke up, hoping their warnings would be heeded, but the urgency in their voices was met with skepticism. But their expertise was overruled. Decisions were made from above, sometimes by those less familiar with the unpredictable nature of wildfire behavior in these canyons. The order to leave was upheld, despite their detailed observations and passionate pleas. The command structure demanded obedience, even when it conflicted with the instincts of those on the ground. This was a breakdown in communication and trust, a moment when the voices of experience were drowned out by protocol and hierarchy. The frontline crew's knowledge was dismissed in favor of a higher-level assessment, leaving them feeling powerless and unheard. In these canyons, contained didn't always mean extinguished. The landscape could hide dangers that only seasoned eyes could spot. The firefighters left, burdened by the knowledge that danger still lurked beneath the surface. Their sense of responsibility weighed heavily as they walked away. Their warnings would soon prove tragically prescient, as the fire they feared would return with renewed fury. The sleeping giant was left behind, its threat underestimated, waiting for the right moment to awaken once more. What the firefighters feared most was a holdover fire, a dangerous blaze that can smolder unseen beneath the ground, sometimes for weeks or even months after the main flames have passed. These fires are especially insidious because they can remain hidden, burning slowly in the roots, an organic material, below the surface, waiting for the right moment to flare up again. In the Palisades, the landscape is dominated by deep-rooted chaparral and soil that has been dried out by relentless drought. This combination creates the perfect environment for holdover fires to take hold and persist. The roots of these hardy shrubs can carry embers deep underground, where they are protected from rain and wind, making them nearly impossible to spot from above. Surface ash and layers of soil act like a thick blanket, insulating the heat and keeping it hidden from view. Even with advanced tools like thermal cameras, the lingering warmth can be masked, making detection a real challenge for firefighters on the ground. The only sure method is hands-on, digging into the earth, feeling for pockets of heat, and searching for the faintest wisp of smoke. Firefighters must rely on their senses and experience, methodically checking every suspicious spot, knowing that a single missed ember could spell disaster. But there's another factor that makes holdover fires so dangerous: the infamous Santa Ana winds. When these dry, powerful winds sweep over a burn scar, they strip away the protective layer of ash and expose hidden embers to fresh oxygen. Suddenly, what was once a smoldering, harmless patch of ground can become a raging fire in moments. In just seconds, a smoldering root or buried ember can burst into flame, igniting new fuel and threatening everything in its path. The Palisades' rugged hills, battered by years of drought and relentless wind, have become a breeding ground for these hidden, persistent fires. The risk is ever present, lurking just beneath the surface. All it takes is the right combination of dry conditions, wind, and fuel for disaster to reignite, sometimes when least expected. And now as the weather shifts and the winds begin to rise, those dangerous conditions were about to arrive. For 5 days, the burn scar lay quiet. Then, on January 7th, the Santa Ana winds arrived. Gusts howled through the canyons, humidity plummeted, and the landscape became a tinderbox. The hidden embers exposed by the wind flared to life. In moments, flames erupted, igniting the dry brush. This was no rekindle, it was a violent reawakening. The new Palisades Fire exploded, racing up hillsides and leaping canyons. Spot fires ignited far ahead, chaos spreading rapidly. LAFD responded, but the fire moved too fast for containment. Helicopters struggled in the wind, firefighters shifted to defending homes. The small, contained fire had become a raging inferno. The true disaster was only beginning. The Palisades Fire raged for days, overwhelming even veteran firefighters. 7,000 structures were destroyed. Homes, businesses, community centers. Streets became fields of ash and twisted metal. 12 lives were lost, families shattered by the fire's speed and ferocity. Thousands more were injured or displaced, forced to rebuild from nothing. The sky turned orange, the city grieved. The fire's scars were both visible and invisible, etched into the community's memory. The Palisades Fire was a regional trauma, broadcast worldwide. Recovery would be long and painful. The question remained, how could this have happened? In the aftermath, the LAFD launched an internal review. Interim Chief Ronnie Villanueva explained the fire's reemergence as an undetectable holdover, reignited by extreme winds. He cited the limits of technology and the unpredictability of fire. But Station 69's text messages told another story. The fire was not invisible to those on the ground. Their warnings had been clear, but unheeded. The debate, was this a failure of detection or a failure to listen? The tragedy exposed a gap between protocol and frontline expertise. In an era of climate extremes, standard procedures may no longer be enough. The Palisades Fire forced a painful reckoning. As the fire department reviewed its actions, investigators searched for the Lockman Fire's origin. Evidence soon pointed to arson. Jonathan Rinderknecht, a 29-year-old from Florida, was arrested and charged. The community reeled. This was not just a natural disaster, but a tragedy sparked by human hands. The legal case added another layer of pain and complexity. For some, the arrest offered hope for justice. For others, it did little to address the systemic failures that allowed a small fire to become a catastrophe. The Palisades Fire is a lesson in vigilance, communication, and adaptation. Trusting the instincts of crews on the ground is critical. Firefighting protocols must evolve for a changing climate. Longer fire watches, better technology, and more conservative policies. Prevention is everyone's responsibility. Defensible space, fire-resistant materials, and community action. Even the best-equipped department can be overwhelmed by nature's fury. The greatest tribute to the victims is to learn from this tragedy. We must heed the warnings, adapt, and do everything possible to prevent the next disaster. The cost of complacency is simply too high.